welcome to the roundtable. I'm Tom Nunemaker with my guest today, Jamie from Silex, who produces the software Obsidian. Before we get started, let me do a quick disclaimer that Capital Discussions is not a broker-dealer or an investment advisor. This presentation is for educational purposes only. We don't know your situation and have no way of knowing what level of risk is appropriate for you. We're not making any specific trade recommendations. The risk of loss in trading options can be substantial, so please be aware of all of your risks prior to placing any trades. Hypothetical computer simulated trades are believed to be accurately represented. However, actual profit or loss may vary due to market factors such as liquidity, slippage, and commissions. And this is at the bottom of all of our web pages if you care to read the whole thing. But that's quick and dirty. So let me transfer the presenter over to Jamie. And Jamie, welcome. This is the first time I've seen Obsidian, and same thing with a lot of the members in our community. Oh, it looks like Jim made it, so let me promote him.
Thanks for having me over, Tom.
Yeah, maybe you want to take a few minutes and just explain who you are in the company and the history of the software.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I don't see that I'm getting the presenter role, though, at this time. So do you want to try and pass that over again? Okay, Tom, are you still there?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. It says you have it, so you should be able to share your desktop.
Okay, let me, there we go. Okay, so you should be seeing the Obsidian screen now. Do you see that?
It's loading. Yep, there it is.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for the intro, and I appreciate that you're having me come in this afternoon. Just for everybody that's on the line, thank you for taking the time out of your day to review Obsidian. Myself, again, is Jamie Ruetz, and I've been working in the trading industry for, I guess, about 10 years now. Just to give you a quick and dirty background of me is that I originally started as a mechanical engineer in the automotive industry about 15 years ago, and then learned how to trade options in a retail environment, much like yourselves. So I started out trading my own personal accounts and eventually grew into working more with some software vendors that I was actually using to trade at the time. So I started to work with this particular software vendor, and over the years we developed a platform of our own that was eventually sold off and was absorbed by TD Ameritrade, which you may now know as Trade Architect. So for about 8 years I helped to build that initial platform. And then for a few years I was working with Ameritrade on that, and then as you all know they bought Thinkorswim a few years ago, and I actually came over to work with Silex and help build now the Obsidian trading platform. So my particular background is heavy in options and options spread trading. So I began, doing a lot of Condor style spreads on the SPX and, just basic option strategies and building my portfolio and experience up from there. Now the company Silex itself, we focus on only really one thing, and that's trading technology. So we're a broker neutral execution management system, and our flagship product is Obsidian, which you can see on the screen right now. Obsidian was originally born about 7 years ago on the Pacific Coast Exchange. So it originated with a particular trader, a market maker that was working out on the P Coast, and he wanted to develop his own personal trading software for trading specifically option spread strategies and analyzing those particular strategies pre-trade before he actually placed his positions. But as he was building the software program and other people started to see it on the floor, what he was doing, they asked if they could use that as well. So he began to market it, and the gentleman's name is Mike Williams, and he's one of the partners of Silex. The other is Thomas Fry, who's the programmer and the chief architect of Obsidian itself. So they teamed together and built the software and then began to market it out to institutional and professional traders. And over the past 7-8 years, we've built this up to have a pretty good sized following within the institutional trading world. We do have a fair number of retail traders as well. A lot of the power within Obsidian is within its trade execution and its trade analytics. We have over 25 different modules within the platform itself, but as we go through this today, I really want to kind of give you the grand overview and not too much into the granular details, but Obsidian itself can be very simple and it can be very complex. It really determines, how you use a program is really determined on how you trade and what you want to get out of your trading experience. So from an options world and analytics world, we'll go over today some of the trade functionality. We'll go over some of the risk management features, some of the trade analytics, how you can analyze your trades pre-trade so that you can see if it's really a good position for you. I know many of you have used several different types of software over the years or are currently using software that do a lot of these analytics, and I think you'll find that Obsidian does everything that you currently do and maybe does it even in a little more efficient manner. One thing I do want you to notice about the interface as we look at the Obsidian interface here on my screen is that it's actually very simple and very streamlined and very aesthetically pleasing. And that's by design, obviously, because we want to make sure that we reduce as much clutter as possible within the system itself. So everything you do has been highly engineered to be as efficient as possible to reduce the number of clicks, to reduce the number of screens you have to open, and to make your trading as efficient as possible. Because you have to remember, we look at this from a professional trading standpoint where every click and every extra window you open wastes time. And if you waste time, if you could lose an opportunity. So with a trading platform, with an execution system, you want to make sure that you can get your orders entered and everything put in a very efficient, and also even more critical is to make sure that it's correct. So I'll show you the trading
Jamie?
System itself. Yep.
This is Jim Riggio.
Hi, Jim.
If I may, because I've used your system for a few years now. Guys, when I've used the system, what Jamie just said is, it's not. I know a lot of times you hear vendors talk about things. It is so true. There's so many times where I can end up showing you on any other platform that we've used as a community, whether it be Thinkorswim, whether it end up being IB, whether it be even LiveVol. What you'll see is that the windows, okay, in terms of being able to get a trade ticket up and executed is by far the fastest, most efficient path. I even ended up joking that when you take a look at, like, for example, their trade tickets, their complex order trade tickets, when you open them, they've been engineered to be on an HD monitor so that when you open them, if you want to line them up left to right, they fit perfectly on your screen. So they've paid so much attention to these little tiny details that just make your trading quicker and more efficient. And when the markets are moving quickly, I can tell you, you will appreciate that just so much.
Well, thank you. I don't think I could have gotten a better testimonial than than that right there. We'll go through, just like Jim said here, is you can pretty much be trading any equity within 1 or 2 clicks. And I'll show you over here. On the particular layout that I have right now shown on the screen, this is not a typical layout that you would get with Obsidian. So Obsidian is highly customizable. You can move these different windows over to wherever you want to put them, resize them, move them to multiple monitor systems, etc. These aren't docked together. We don't have a preset layout or customized windows that you're fixed to staying within. So when you look at this here, I've got what's called our quote board. So it's your standard ticker list where you can go in and get some basic fundamental information about the tickers, get your quotes running through. And just to point out, with Obsidian, everything is real time. So everything that I show you here is going to be real time. We don't ever do delayed data on anything. So when you subscribe, it's all real time data. You get real time risk, you get real time trade analytics, real time portfolio management, and that's just one of the standards with Obsidian. So as we're looking at here, we see the quotes coming through, and ETH just stands for extended trading hours, since we're looking after hours now. And tonight we're not going to see a whole lot of action, obviously, with the options market because option markets are closed now. But I can still build up the tickets for you and show what's going on. So when we look at a quote board, I've actually got all this linked right now together. So when I go into a chart or I go into what's our option chain up here, and this should be pretty familiar to you. You've got your strike in the middle, and you got calls on the left and puts on the right. You got all your quotes, and I'm put up here also the Greek values so you can get a view of those, and we have the implied volatilities up there as well. So if I click on anything here within my quote board, you'll notice automatically that my option chain updates and my charts update as well. These are all linked together, and same thing if I go over here into my chart and just manually type Microsoft, for example, and enter that, my option chain updates over here to Microsoft also. And we can do this on multiple different levels. So I can have specific charts linked to specific chains, and I can do that up to 7, 8 different times with our linking system in Obsidian. So this is, again, one of those efficiencies that's built in, so you don't have to change 3 screens with 3 different tickers 3 times. So you can just do it once. So as I go through, and let's say we just want to send a simple equity order, and we like to do this with what's called our depth ticket. So all I have to do is go into my quote board. If I want to trade Apple up here, I can click on the bid or ask, and that generates and pulls up our depth ticket, which is the depth of the market. You get the regional quotes here. You can see ARCA, Amex, EdgeX are all coded out here with the MBBO pricing up at the top. And you'll also notice that most of the fields within my ticket are already filled out. So I've got default settings here that I've already prepared where my account is already populated, the type that I want to do. So I usually always do a limit order. The route that I want to send it, the time and force is usually a day order with option orders or equity orders for me. I can also set some default quantities. So I have my stock set to 500, and I think I have my options set to 100 contracts. And my price is just what the current mark price is. But I can also change this very quickly with just a single click. I can go up here. Let's say I want to hit the ask or hit the bid. I just click on those, and it repopulates my price field right from just clicking on it. So I don't really ever have to type anything if I don't want to. Now I can go ahead and buy or sell this. So if I want to buy it at the bid or offer, I can do that. But let's go ahead and put this a little bit below the offer so I don't get filled on this. So now I can either buy, sell, or short this stock. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just click the buy order. And right now you see that this order is actually working within the regional quote. So I can see where my order fits within all the regional quotes out there in the market. I'll also go up here to the top. Right now I'm showing my option chain.
Jamie, but before you leave that screen, okay, the things that I use that I think are absolutely great, could you end up showing the quantity change bars on the bottom? You know, when you end up having
the quick change.
The quick change stuff, because that I think is just the coolest thing that I haven't seen on any other system. Yeah, and also the up down if you end up hitting on the settings again. Also end up showing the yeah, there you go.
Okay, so what Jim is referring to here is that we've got 2 different things to modify the quantities and the pricing within either pre-order or post, you know, if you want to make some cancel replaces or modifications to your order. So first thing that he mentioned here was the quantity control. So we can set quantity controls in multiples of whatever you want. So if you want to do this in multiples of 10, or if you're working with a high quantity of equities and you want to do 100 share lots, and you want to just quickly put in here instead of having to type. Again, this is, you know, very helpful for fast-moving markets if you really want to hit a bid or ask or a size that's already displayed out there. You can just say, okay, I want to hit 300, and boom, it populates that quantity with 300 from just clicking on these little buttons. Also, if I want to hit any particular size that's on, like, you know, Edge A, for example, I can just click on the 6 here, and it populates that now with 600 shares. These are in 100 lots, so this represents 600, 600, 100, etc. So I can try to hit those and sweep the market on that particular exchange if it comes up as the top one. So if I want to get ARCA here, I've got 1,100 shares. Same thing or a similar thing happens here with our order modifiers on this. So let's go back to this order here that I already placed. So this 112 spot 22. I just click on this order, And I can go in, and right now I can modify this price in increments. So right now I've got this set up in increments of a penny. So if I click my modifiers, you can see, watch this order right here. As I click the down arrow, it's going to start to modify that incrementally each time I click that. So I can work this order without having to go put in a new price, click modify, which is a two-step process, which is actually pretty fast, but this is even faster.
Okay, right. A lot of the places have 2 to 4-step clicks. Here, I got to tell you, when I'm chasing, or I need to end up getting filled, but I don't want to end up going, so many times, and I'll put in, like if I'm dealing with an SPX option, for example, I'll put it in, I'll change that from a penny to a nickel, right, because they only change in nickels, and now with single clicks, I'm actually moving and submitting in my price up a nickel or down a nickel. Okay, it's super quick compared to anything else that I ended up ever using.
And that's right. You can change this increment to whatever increment you want. If you want to change in dollars, if you're chasing Berkshire Hathaway, you want to put it in $1,000 increments, you can do whatever you need to do. So here, I'll just go ahead and I'll force this to get filled. So I'll put it in a marketable condition. So right now you can see on the bottom panel here, you're always going to get status updates right from the ticket that you sent this order from. So you can always see exactly where that order is in what phase of its life. So right now we just did a bunch of replaces on this. So you can see we replaced this to 112 spot 34. Well, let's put this into a marketable place, and now I'm going to go ahead and get filled on this. So I put this through. We can see we partially filled on 300 of those, so I still have 200 working out there. So right now I've got 300 of 500. And as this gets worked and gets filled, it'll start to populate until it's a full green bar here. And we'll actually go over here.
Order. Well, you have a crossed market there.
That's just because it's going through our demo environment, and
okay.
And yeah, it's after hours, so things aren't necessarily updating as they should or would during regular hours.
I was going to say smart isn't very smart.
Yeah, it's just going through the demo, so sometimes after hours it behaves a little erratically. So I just go ahead and force to fill on this for a full fill. So now we see we've been filled on that particular one. Also, if you notice up here in the upper left, I've got a little window, and let's go ahead and buy another one and fill this one so that I can show you. There's a status bar here that pops up. This is our little message center that shows you your activity. So if you got a lot of orders working right now, you can see if there's partials or fills going through on those particular ones. I have it set to timeout every 20 seconds. You can also get audible notifications. So if you step away, you can hear the ding or the reject sounds coming through. But I'll just quickly go over here to what's called our order book up at the top portion. So you see.
Before you leave that, somebody asked the difference between sell and short on that order ticket.
Sell and short is for equities. So if you don't currently own an equity in your portfolio, you can't sell it without marking it sell short. So it has to be a short sale if it doesn't exist in your portfolio. So anytime that you want to just sell it in the open market, anything that you don't own, it has to be a short sale.
For equities, not for options.
For equities, that's correct. So if you own the equity, you can just sell the equity against the holdings that you already have. You don't have to mark it as a sell short. So within our system, if you accidentally hit short or sell on something that you don't currently own, it'll reject it back, and you'll say, hey, you can't do this. You got to mark it as a sell short. So we have checks in place that don't allow that to happen, and that's a regulatory thing. So you'll never be able to sell a stock that you don't own unless you mark it short. And just that being said, there's a lot of things that happen in the back end of our system as well for checks and balances depending on which broker you use. One thing I didn't mention about Obsidian is that we're completely 100% broker neutral, meaning we're not a brokerage firm. We do not participate in order flow. We don't charge commissions. We don't charge ticket fees. All we do is maintain a third-party software that links into your existing broker. So whatever routes you have available right now with your broker, you can have access to through Obsidian and run all your executions through Obsidian, your portfolio management. And if you choose to move brokers, the great thing about Obsidian is that you don't have to change the platform. You can take it with you. So we're connected to the majority of the major brokerages on the street. So if you want to move from one to the other, that's great. You can take Obsidian, and we can usually hook you in with your new broker.
Jamie, one of the things also that you had mentioned, just that I wanted to share, the routes, however you end up routing to a market, will be determined by the broker that you end up having. So, for example, if I take a look at what we were doing with EAB a while ago, what we ended up doing is that we were clearing through Merrill, but we ended up having our introducing broker gave us routes. It was included in our commissions through a company called Dash Financial, which I don't know if you end up having, but ended up giving us just some great routes compared to a lot of the other broker or the other routing companies that we ended up looking at, and it was included in our commission. So the platform, Obsidian, ends up being able to end up attaching to any routes that are available through your broker. Now, some of your routes you'll end up paying for. I've been with other brokers when we were taking a look at this, like, for example, the stuff that we were doing with the platforms down with the Adventist guys. Their broker didn't have a route to Dash, but we were able to end up getting it, and it ended up costing us a couple of pennies per contract, but it was worth it for us because we knew that we were going to be able to end up getting a lot better fills than the crappy routes that they had available to us.
Right, and that's one of the benefits of using a system like Obsidian that's truly broker neutral, is that we don't care where you execute your orders or where you clear. We can pretty much connect into anybody. So, and again, we don't charge anything for extra per contract or anything like that. All those extra fees that Jim's referring to usually come from the brokerage firms themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. No. It's definitely just the flat fee that you end up paying on a per month basis, depending on the level of the platform that you want.
That's correct. Yep. And it's one of the most competitive values that you're going to get out there. And as we get more into taking a look at the different modules we have available, you'll see truly the power of what the system can do. This is just one ticket and one view of the many things we have here. So when we go up and look at what's called the order book, sometimes called the order blotter, it's just a screen that shows your current active orders and your trading activity. The top section, let me go in and actually do a working order so that we can go ahead and see what this looks like. And let me modify this down a little bit so it doesn't get filled here. Okay, so I've got two sections that are shown in this order book, and when I talk about the flexibility of the platform and the ease of use and the way you can go about changing things, this is really illustrated within these two screens. And I'll actually put another screen up here just so you can see this in what's called our book trader module. Some people really like this module because it's more of a futures style trading module where it's one-click trading. So you can actually go into this module, set it all up, and you can be firing off orders at different price levels within seconds of each other if you really need to do that style of trading. It's going to be a little difficult at after hours here because we don't have a lot of markets going, but I can go in,
maybe
put this in.
Maybe try the SPY. If you bring up the SPY, you'll get it. A lot of people will call this a ladder, right? A lot of people call this a ladder, and you have the same type of things where if you wanted to on the bottom, you can end up having, be able to change your quantity very quickly. It ends up showing you your working orders on the outside. You can end up seeing that. You can see how far it is. I really like this one because you can end up just dragging your orders. Like if he wanted to go and drag his order up or down, he can end up doing things like that. So it's it literally is a one-click buy sell, type of thing. And if I'm looking at equities, a lot of times, I will end up, that are, very, very liquid. I don't need to end up seeing the order book, okay, the level 2 stuff for, SPY, okay, when I'm buying SPY because I know that it's, a gazillion deep on each side. I'll end up trading those with the ladder.
And this ladder I've just expanded out here. So what we can do is, right now you see I've got this order working for 500 shares of Apple down here at the 112 spot 27. So we've got this in a couple different places. I've got it in my order book. I've got it in my depth ticket. And I also see this order here in my book trader module in the ladder. So now I can go through, since I have everything set up, I can just start clicking on different price levels. And these are actually firing off orders. at this point in time. So you can see now I've got active orders at the spot 23, spot 20 price levels, and I can see them up here in my order book too. Now at this point, I don't ever have to close these windows, and I don't ever have to open up a new ticket in order to modify each one of these orders. I can click on this order here and modify it. I can drag, as Jim said, I can drag this up and replace to the 33 cent level. And I can just right click and cancel it out. So I can go in here real quick if I want to just kind of flood the market with a bunch of different orders. I can go through and start flooding it. So I'm getting some rejects here because I think I went over my clip size limit. But this is another one of these settings that I have on this particular account to maximum. I have a max limit on how many shares I can have out at one given time. So I'll go through here and just put a bunch more orders in. So you can see different price levels. I can go through, cancel them out in one. I can cancel all of them, wipes them all out, and I can just start again. So that quickly, I can go through and fire off orders, replace them, add new ones in, drag and drop them to a new price level, cancel them out, and do whatever I need to in order to capture a fast-moving market.
Hey, Danny, we did have a question. Are you going to be covering options on futures today?
Well, I'm not necessarily covering them because everything that I have to say about options on equities applies equally to options on futures. So we do have, with the different asset classes that you can trade through Obsidian, would be equities and ETFs, all U.S. markets, so equities, ETFs. You can do option spreads on equities. We do have futures contracts and all the CME futures contracts and options on futures. So we won't necessarily get into options on futures because I don't have permission for this particular demo account, but everything I have to say about equities for options or options for equities is exactly the same as futures options. They're traded exactly the same. The ladders look exactly the same. Everything is the same. So the thing about Obsidian here is that we don't have a separate futures ticket. We don't have a separate options ticket. We don't have a separate equities ticket. Every product that can be traded within Obsidian can be traded in the exact same tickets. So for example, in this ladder, I can put in the S&P 500 futures contract. So right now, I just switched from an equity to a futures contract in the same ticket. I don't know a whole lot of systems that are out there that can do that, and I can also drag and drop and put an option contract into the same ticket. So if I wanted to trade just a single option contract, I can trade that in there and look at the option on the ladder. I can drag and drop from the option chain, put it into that ticket, or I could just link this to my option chain, and I can really quickly scroll through and look at the markets on a single option. Okay, so now this is for single leg options, for single equities, and for futures contracts. So now when we get into starting to build some option spreads, this is where a lot of the efficiencies come in, because all of us pretty much in this office here that built this software are current or have traded options extensively over the last 10, 15 years. So we really built this system to focus on options and options trading. That's not to say that the other parts of the system aren't as great, but this is probably the best options trading platform in existence. And I don't say that because I'm biased, but I've been working on multiple ones for many years, and this is the pinnacle. So when we look at this, I can go in real quickly and open up what's called our complex order ticket. With the right click, I can buy some pre-canned strategies. I can go in here and do verticals, ratios, diagonals, straddle, strangles. You name it, they're there. So if it's a named strategy, it's there. And you can also build your own. And I'll show you how to do that. So right now, let's just do a simple straddle. So I click on straddle, and right now it builds that straddle at that strike price, that 112 strike price I selected. And I can change my quantities very easily. I've got a ratio locked here, so anytime I change one quantity, it changes both legs of that. I can unlock that, and I can change this to a 2x1 if I want to skew this, and then relock it. Now every time I change this, it changes both legs in that 2x1 ratio. And again, a lot of this ticket is already filled out because I have some defaults. All I need to do is select a price. So we've got individual quotes on the individual legs. I've got the quote for the entire spread. This is the MBBO pricing. I've got net deltas for this position. So if you're a delta trader, this is very helpful. you can see right away before you get into the position what your net delta is going to be. So right now I'm at 0.57, so 57 delta per contract. So I can go through and select a price now. Over here in the lower left, it gives me the current market price of this spread. So the low, mid, and high. So low is the current low of the MBBO pricing, and the high is the current high of that. And of course, if you want to hit the midpoint, you can just select the midpoint, and I want to try and get that. We also have a slider bar, so you can just go, you can see in between the current bid and ask pricing. If you want to go like approximately a third up or 2/3 up, you can do that. You can get your net cash outlay on this position. No, we're trading a lot here. Let's kind of make this a little more manageable with some 10 contracts. So right now we're looking at a net cash outlay for the straddle of $6,325. This is a skewed straddle with a current net delta of 287 for this entire position, not per share, but the entire position has a 287 delta. I'm just going to go ahead and turn these clearing instructions on. We don't need that. Now, this complex order ticket is just a nice numerical representation of this trade. A lot of people, myself included, I like to look at the graphical representation of this before I actually make the trade because I want to see visually what this is going to look like. And we can do this in what's called our position analyzer window, which is essentially the risk graph of that position. So as I take a look at this, I'm going to expand this window up a little bit. So here's that skewed straddle that we just did. And we can see the expiration graph in white, and the green line represents the current risk graph of the position if we were to enter it right now. So you can see we're skewed more to the bullish side, and we've got some downside protection if things don't go away, or go our way. So you can see in this particular instance, we are picking a direction, but with some downside protection. Now I can go through and do some what-if analysis. So if I go and just change that to make it a true delta neutral position, I can do that. So right now I'm looking at this from a profit loss standpoint. I can go and look at this from a delta standpoint, so I can see what my delta graph looks like. I'm not quite delta neutral, but it's pretty close. I can take a look at the gamma and the theta. So if I'm going to play, if I'm going to short some straddles or sell some spreads, I can see how much time decay is going to work in my favor over the life of that trade. And we can take a look at that all graphically. I can also do some volatility shocks on this particular position to see, you know, if volatility goes up 5%, I can see how much that's going to affect this position. And in this case, it's going to help because when you own, the volatility increase actually helps your position. And conversely, when volatility starts to decrease, I can see how that sinks down into my expiration graph. Now, the beautiful part about this is that I can go back to the option chain, and I can just go ahead and drag and drop options right into my position analyzer window. So let's say I want to just add, 10 puts in there for additional protection and skew this a little more to the bearish side. I can do that very easily, drag it in there. Now, this is just a pre-trade analysis. There's no executions that have occurred at this point. There's no orders that have been sent. But if I do like this position, it's very easy for me to do that. So you can see I have my original ticket out here that I built. All I have to do is right-click and open this in a complex ticket, and it builds that ticket with the parameters I just put in this window. And I put in a price and send it, and it's that easy. So I've just created a trade, analyzed it, and sent it. Let me close down some of these windows here. This risk graph is actually, it's very powerful also to view your portfolio holdings. So you can go in to anything that you have held in your portfolio, and I'll just briefly mention the portfolio. The portfolio is going to show your current holdings. So right now I've got a lot of equities in here within my demo accounts. You can group this many different ways. For equities traders, it's nice to group this by underline or just by account if you're handling multiple accounts. If you have a basket of clients or you're doing multiple accounts for yourself and others, you can go through, take a look at the performance for each account. So I can see, how many shares I'm holding in each particular one, what my P&L is on the day, P&L net. This is just a particular P&L view. I can go through, take a look at my exposure, so I can see gross exposure, long exposure. I can go see market values. I can look at my Greek values very quickly just with 2 clicks. So I can see what my delta, gamma, vega, theta is on any particular account level. I can do this by underlying, so I can see, if I have a lot of options holdings across multiple underlines, I can see this as well. For options traders, a really powerful feature we have here is what's called grouping by expiration and underlying. So I can see very quickly each options expiration cycle coming up, what positions I have in there. So in this particular basket, I only have February options coming up due, so February 20th, and I got some Microsoft here. So I can see for each cycle what my exposure is, what my net deltas are, drill that down into individual positions, and really see what my performance is, not only on a single position, but also all the way up to my account level. And then if I look at the bottom here, I've got a summary of everything that's in that view, so I can also see if I'm a risk manager, for example, I can see exactly what all my clients are doing on a firm level as well. So there's a lot of power in this particular screen. Jim, we had a question up there. So I saw it flash on my screen, and I can't see it right now. So something about in the money, out of the money, I think?
Yeah, there were a couple of them, actually. It said, can you mix a RUT and an IWM in the same risk profile?
Not with the graphic portfolio analysis, but you can see all different groups within, or all different underlines within the same portfolio. So when we're looking at this, let me close this down here. Let me go back to an account. So for example, in this particular account, I'll go to my Greenfield account. So I've got a lot of different products in here, but I can throw them into the risk profile. When we're talking about risk profiles, there's another view that's actually more efficient than the portfolio view, and that's what's called our risk radar view. So we click on risk radar here, and it shows a similar view in that the top portion of this risk radar shows me the account level summary. So everything in that account from a risk standpoint is shown up here at the top. As I scroll over to the right, I can see movement based on the underlying movement of those holdings within those accounts of profit and loss numbers, projections based on the movement of that underlying. So if it goes up 3%, 6%, 9%, et cetera, I can see what my theoretical profit and loss values would be based on that movement. Now this is the movement of not just one underlying or a beta index or something like that. It's based on the movement of all individual positions within that account, moving up that percentage. And I can change that percentage to whatever I like to see. So if you want to see a little bit fine-tuned, you can go into fine-tuning, or if you want to see, big market crashes or, Black Friday type things, or not Black Friday, Black Swan events.
Monday.
Yeah, Black Monday, whatever you want to call it, a crash event.
Right? I mean, that was a long time ago. That was before most.
That was a long time ago. So you can see really quick flash crashes, what happens with your portfolio, and see how truly hedged you are in that particular portfolio. And if you're not, what you need to do in order to get hedged, you can run some analysis on that. So again, this is the account level, but if I click on any one of these accounts, I can drill that down to my underlying level. So it kind of brings back the question here, can I take a look at my risk profile of multiple different indexes, or one against the other? We don't really put one against the other and give you a beta weighted average of the two, but what we can do here is look at individual positions and see, real quickly filter out which positions may be my largest loss leaders here. So if I've got, Microsoft is probably my highest delta exposure here because or largest position. Actually, it's the largest position with 37,000 shares, which is my delta exposure as well. So I can see that perhaps I need to put on some hedging strategies for Microsoft because I'm not looking so good if the market moves quite fast and quite far. So let's move this down a little bit. Let's just go back to step percentage of 5. The thing about the risk radar and portfolio screens is that there's a ton of data that you can pull up. If I just scroll to the right, you can see there's 30 or so different columns of data, but this is not even close to how many different sets of data you can put in here. If I go to what's called our column chooser, you can see these are all the fields that I could put into my risk radar that aren't currently shown. So I can, look at my buying power. I can look at performance ratios. I can look at Greeks. I can look at P&L numbers. What's good for risk managers, and also just a good reference. You can see how many shares of stock you've traded on the day in any given account, options, futures, etc. I can also go in the bottom portion, and I can see really quickly. Let me select all my accounts here. Which holdings, which underlines or options that I currently hold have earnings or dividends coming up anytime soon, which is extremely important. If you're an options trader, you need to know when those dividend dates are coming out and when those earning dates are coming, because you need to watch your positions. You need to make sure that you're addressing whatever needs to be addressed with those positions. And you can really quickly sort by that, just by ascending or descending, and see, okay, coming up in February, I've got a few options or a few earnings coming up, and even as early as today, I had some earnings, and tomorrow I've got some earnings I should probably be paying attention to.
Every column is sortable. So if you wanted to see, like, for example, where your biggest dollar delta, okay, not just delta, but say dollar delta. He only has dollar up there, but you could also bring up dollar delta, and you can sort by that on risk. But Jamie, one of the features that if for a reasonable to large size trader that can end up paying for the platform for at least a year, could you show them how with a single button you can flatten your deltas?
Yeah, that's what's called our hedge trader, or delta hedging tool. So,
yeah, we call it the panic button.
Yeah, and we don't go so far as to put a big red button on there, but we
but
might
it does
as well.
have it.
Yeah, so this is called our delta hedging, and as I go into this modules menu up here at the top, you can see there's over 20 different modules that we've got in here. We've covered some of the order ticket stuff in here. We've got basket traders where you can stage some orders and put those out for later. But since Jim brought it up, we'll talk about the delta hedging. And let me go to let's see. I don't think I have a lot of accounts with options in them right now in my demo, but it'll give you the general idea. I'll go to this Greenfield account, and let me just expand this screen. So this module takes my account and loads all my positions that are held within my portfolio, and it shows me what my net deltas are on the entire portfolio, and it also shows me per position. So these are all just going to be long shares in stock mostly here, long or short shares in stock. So, but you can see the net delta on that. And it tells me how many shares of stock I would need to buy or sell against my current delta in order to get delta neutral on that position. So now I have one of two options with this particular screen, is I can hedge individual positions very quickly. I can go in here, okay, let's say for CADC, I want to hedge this position. I need to sell 200 shares in order to get delta neutral. Well, truly, I actually need to sell 250. But right now, I'm just rounding this out to round lots. But if I don't want to do that, so I just turn off round deltas, and now I would sell 250 shares in order to flatten that position. So I can go through and go ahead and send that order, and here's my confirmation screen. Just go ahead and send it, and I got rejected on that for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I'll look at that later. So you can see the order status in here, and I could do that individually. But if I want to flatten my entire portfolio, I don't want to have any delta exposure overnight, and if I'm trading a lot of options and I just need to buy and sell shares of stock to flatten those, I just go ahead and send all orders. So I can just click on send orders. And do I really want to submit all this? Yes, I do. And so basically what it runs through is it goes through and does all that. And I think I have risk controls on this particular Greenfield account, so that I can't do that. But you'll go through and see your order status will be filled, or pending, or partially filled. But with that one button, as Jim says, I can go through and flatten my entire position or just hedge all my deltas.
Right, I know that sometimes we've talked about, and I know, like, for example, Paul Demers and I used to end up talking, it always seems that you have to end up adjusting all your positions at the same time. So what you can end up doing is not to end up incurring any more loss, or kind of just hitting a pause button so you can get to that trade. Maybe you're not getting a great fill. You can delta hedge yourself, take your deltas as close to zero as you can with the number of contracts. It's relatively flat. You still have your gamma risk, right? They can't make your gamma risk go away, but they can end up at least neutralizing your delta. If it keeps moving, yes, okay, your delta is going to build up again without question. But it is just a fantastic feature when you have to end up doing, 3, 4, 6 trades at a time, hedge them out, go and do what you need to end up doing, come back to it, and you've basically stopped bleeding for that period of time. And to be able to end up going and selecting like these 5 positions I need to delta hedge and literally do it with a couple of clicks can end up saying, when in a fast-moving market, when it's moving against you, you literally can save enough money to pay for the platform for a year.
Yeah, it's definitely a powerful tool, and this was designed specifically for those purposes. The delta hedging tool is not only for an end-of-day thing to hedge overnight, but like you said, it's for fast-moving markets. When you've got a lot of things that are moving because a major event happened, you don't have the time to go out there and fill out an individual ticket for each one, and then try and get your orders flattened and get your portfolio flattened. So you need something like this to be able to efficiently go in and just either cherry pick or just flatten the whole thing. So that's why we designed it that way. And it works really well. And you'll see some other stuff in here like pin risk, slippage, and do not trade the pin risk. These are kind of getting into more advanced features of delta hedging, allowing yourself to hedge if the price moves a little bit. But as you get into the system itself, you're going to find there's more and more complex features that you can add on, but it's also very simple to use. So you can go through, again, and just really quickly trade. Boom, I can send this order and execute it. But we've got time and sales we can put on this particular window. We've got the quantity controls. We've got order instructions. You can put custom tags on here so you can, if you want to name it, whatever you want to, which becomes a sortable feature in the order book. That's helpful for some people. We actually put that in there for spread traders because they wanted to name a specific strategy, or they were doing strategies for a specific group of clients, and they just wanted to name it with that group so they could sort it out at the end of the day and export that data out and say, okay, I did these trades for this particular group. So you can notate things on your orders. A couple of the other modules that are good to highlight here. I know quite a few of you on the line have worked with volatility skews and worked with, like to look at volatility numbers. One thing we do have available is our volatility skew, so you can actually see what the option skews are going. So I'll just put up the SPY for right now so you can see this. So you can see how these skews are working on the different options for SPY, for whatever holding that you want to take a look at. You can put on different series, so if you want to look at the weekly series, or if you just want to look at the standards, you can add and remove different series to your heart's content here. So I'll just put in a couple different ones so those aren't selecting. But we'll go through, turn some off, turn some on, and we can zoom in, zoom out on these different skews. But one of the other purposes of this skew is that you can go in and actually set up a custom skew for yourself. I can go in and move this up and down, and I think we're losing some response time here because of the WebEx. But I can move these up and down and change the skew on this particular one. Let me put on something that doesn't have as much data. So I can now move individual data points. I can move an entire skew up and down to flatten this out if I think that's not quite realistic, or if I want to kind of look at my option chain based on this. What this does is that it adjusts my theoretical pricing that I can see in the option chain. So it's not going to change your actual quote. So if I save and apply this skew, let me just close this down for right now, and expand all my options here for Microsoft. You'll see that my February series, which is the ones that I actually changed on the volatility skew, the implied volatility here is now shown in blue. Well, this now represents a custom skew that I developed from that volatility skew. I can either do that, or I can flatline my volatilities, which means I set all of my volatility exactly the same. So if I want to simulate, the volatility of the at-the-money option, now again, this gets a little more into complex option trading, but you can flatten your volatilities and take a look at the theoretical pricing. So what this does is it changes my theoretical price column, and I can look at that theoretical pricing relative to the rest of the market. So the actual market is spot 49 by spot 52, but if I look at the theoretical value based on what I feel the volatility should be, it's at spot 54 based on the theoreticals. So maybe I want to, theoretically I think this is actually worth more than what it's selling for. So maybe I think it's trading at a discount right now and I want to pick that up. I don't know, there's a lot of different ways to interpret this type of data. But this is one way that you can manually adjust your volatility skews to reflect, maybe more of your model versus what the model of the rest of the market is doing out there, and what the current bid and offer are supplying. So it's one way to check yourself and see if you're getting either a discount or you're paying a premium for those options. The option screen also has a lot of additional information on here. So when you're looking at up in the top portion, it shows you your current holdings, your stock information, et cetera. So usually within almost any screen within Obsidian, you have access to what your current holdings are doing. So I don't have to have necessarily a portfolio screen open to know that my net delta in Microsoft right now is 43,000 deltas. I don't have to go back to a different screen to see that. It's all right there in front of me. So I can adjust on the fly if I need to right from this screen. So we try to make it, again, I'll keep putting this out there as efficient as possible, because we know time is money, and if you have to go back and flip screens and change accounts and change holdings, you're missing out on potential opportunities. So we give you the access pretty much at your fingertips for everything. The option screen and any screen within Obsidian that you see here is fully customizable. You can put any sets of data on here you want. Like I'm showing right now the Greek data. We can go through here. We can go to our quick layouts. I can just take a look at it as a very simplified view, which is just my position and the bid and offer. I can go through, create custom views. I can take a look at net deltas, gammas, vegas, thetas for the holdings that I have. Really get the information at my fingertips and right in front of me very quickly. So, when we're looking at Obsidian and understanding what an execution management system is, it's really about not just placing and sending orders, but it's also the full management of those orders and the full management of your portfolio. So with Obsidian, and this is kind of unique to what we've created with this product, is that we've but we have consolidated many different types of platforms into one. A lot of traders out there have to have an execution system, and they have to have a risk management system, and then they also have to have an analytics/search tool. With Obsidian, we've got the execution, the risk, and the portfolio management all wrapped up in the same system at no additional cost. So it's not a la carte. You don't pay for each module individually. We don't have maintenance fees or upgrade fees or anything like that. It's all, you pay one flat fee. All upgrades are automatically delivered to you, and everything that you need is always going to be there. So, and typically our update cycle is once or twice a month. We'll update the platform based on new features that we have coming in. So that's the major overview of Obsidian. There's obviously a lot more to go into with this particular product, but that really gets into more granular, and as you gain interest with Obsidian and you want to see more of what it can do and the power it holds, I'd be happy to give you a personal demo. We have 14-day trials that are available completely free of cost, gives you access to a demo account so that you can go in, kick the tires around a little bit, see if it's really going to work for you, and paper trade for a while and see if you like the system. With that all being said, that's kind of what I wanted to show you tonight. If we want to open it up to some more Q&A, I'd be happy to stay on the line with you and answer some questions.
Jamie, one of the first question is I couldn't find it on your website, but the price list of the 3 different versions that you end up having.
Yeah, it's not on the website anymore. There's 3 major levels to our subscription with Obsidian. So the first one is Obsidian Basic, which is $200 per month per user, and that gives you access to one account and the basic execution functions of Obsidian. So you'll have access to all the execution tickets, the order book, portfolio, option chain, and you can run just simple execution. So if you're just doing equity execution or single leg, multi-leg options execution, and you don't really need all the analytic tools, and you're not doing risk management, you're not doing the graphical analysis, you don't have to pay for that. So you can go in and just do the basic for $200 per month. Everything that I've shown you tonight is wrapped into what's called our Pro package. You get all the risk elements, you get all the execution elements, you get all the analytic elements, and that's for $400 per month. Flat fee. Again, we don't have any hidden costs. There's nothing out there for commissions or trade ticket costs that we charge. All that commissions, trade order entry costs, those are all going to be controlled by your broker.
And that includes live data, right?
Yeah, well, it does not include live data, so any of the exchange data fees would be passed through. So if you're a non-professional trader, that's really, it's not a whole lot. I think it's like $50, $60 total. Professional traders, it's a little more, but that's just passed through, and those are charged by the exchanges, and we don't put any markup on that.
I put a list of, there's a comparison about the basic versus pro versus risk. I think for most people, what you'd be most pro, the one that Jamie was showing you is the one that would be there. The higher level one, the risk one, is really for if you have, just, tons of accounts. If you don't have tons of accounts and be able to end up needing all of that filtering to be able to look at, different subgroups of your accounts, you'd be fine with the $400 a month subscription. It's the one that I had used.
Yeah, the risk level is, it gives you access to all the same modules as the Pro version, but as Jim said, it gives you access to unlimited trading accounts. So what that means is that if you're a risk manager, and it's called risk because it's really designed for risk managers who manage multiple accounts through multiple clients with one user login. So Pro version gives you up to 5 trading accounts that you can work. If you have 6 or more trading accounts that you work under the same user, then you need to be at the risk level. So the only difference is the number of accounts that you're trading, and that's just because of account maintenance.
Okay. Our next question is actually got several of them asking about being able to adjust IVs at a different month level or on a calendar. I don't know if you're going to want to go through this, but because I know we're a little bit short on time, but you can actually end up adjusting your volatility on a per strike, per expiration level. So if you wanted to not only change monthly skew, from one month to another in term structure skew, but if you, or difference, if you wanted to take a look at vertical skew, having, this put go up by, 15% and this one go up by 10%, you can end up changing on an individual basis. You can also end up loading them up from an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's correct. So I can go in here and I can do this, as you said, a couple different ways. I showed you how I can change the whole skew, and that's with the left click. But if I just use the right click instead of the left click, I can change an individual strike. So I can change this 54 strike, and I can actually smooth out the curve. So if I want to smooth out the bumps on this curve, I can change these individual strikes, move them up and down, and kind of just smooth that out, give a little better regression on that volatility skew, that volatility smile. And then
by the way, that's a great feature because what ends up happening, Jamie, in reality in some of the products that we end up changing, you get what I would call Captain One Lot, who comes in, between, let's say, an SPX spread that might be $2 wide, and now it's only $1 wide. So what happens is that the skew looks all messed up. It's very easy when you're putting your trade together to just end up adjusting your skews just the way you did. And now I have a much better feel for what I should be getting filled, because what happens is that when you have that one option out of, let's say, an iron condor where you have 4 of them, looking at what you think might be the mid, but Captain One Lot really screwed up your price, and you might be paying, oh, look, I got filled a nickel better than the mid, when in fact the real mid would have been 50 cents different because Captain One Lot messed up the whole price of the iron condor.
Right, and that's exactly right. So you can see where your theoretical values align with what's going on in the market. And so this is a graphical representation of that. What we can also do is I can go up here under my tools and I can go into, edit my dividends, edit my volatilities, and edit my volatility skews. And I can go to individual strike prices, as Jim was saying, and adjust these. What I can also do is I can put these in a spreadsheet and drop them into this here and upload those skews into Obsidian.
Okay, next question they had was, Next question I ended up having here was, do brokers end up offer the platform with reduced fees, okay, for volume? And it's really up to the broker. Like, for example, I have had paid higher commissions and had the broker pay for the platform. I've paid lower commissions per a transaction I've played for the platform. So that's really on a broker by broker decision. Another question is here, there's a lot of discussion about Greeks because there are several platforms that end up working, okay, that the Greeks are a little bit different. I'll end up telling you that their Greeks, the Obsidian Greeks, from what I've ended up seeing, because they end up having so many professional users, that their Greeks, from a lot of the really heavy-duty PhD quants that I've had, the Greeks in Obsidian are as accurate as any other platform you will end up seeing. They end up having things like a discrete dividend date. You can end up changing, okay, in your defaults. You can end up changing what your risk-free rates are. You can change just about anything that you want to end up seeing. As I mentioned before, not only can you end up just dragging, okay, the way Jamie showed you, but you can also end up doing loads of your implied volatilities if you don't like their skew models. So it really is the most flexible thing that I've ever seen. You can't compare this, Bob, with OptionView. OptionView is a backtesting system. This is a trading platform. In my mind, there's you know, the world of difference. Okay, it's you can't end up looking at the two in the same light. The other one is that do they have any skew playback features? Jamie, help me with this, but you don't keep any historical data to be able to end up going back to end up taking a look at what the skew might have looked like 6 months ago.
No, yeah, that's correct. We don't store any historical data.
That's you know, the platform that ends up doing that is LiveVol, and you can end up doing that through you know, either one of the paid LiveVol products or in their LVX product. Okay, their platform. Another question here, is it Java-based?
No, this is downloaded onto your machine, so we're .NET based, so it's written in C# on the .NET framework, so it does need to run on a Windows PC or a Mac that's running Windows.
You were telling about the other day when we were talking, Jamie, is that you don't use like the API to go to, say, interactive brokers. You use the FIX protocol, which is much quicker, the broker messages.
Yeah, we're connected to all our brokerage firms via FIX messaging, so it's the most stable and the fastest way of doing it.
Somebody mentioned that OptionView ends up offering a brokerage platform, and yeah, I know they do. We've never had any discussions in the community about it. If you want to, we can end up having that during a different WebEx. But I can tell you that every discussion we've had, okay, on any of our roundtables or any of our presentations have always been with OptionView with their backtesting capability. Yes, some people will end up using it to take a look at their risk management real time if you end up doing your quotes. But then you know, one of the problems with that is that you're doing your risk management on one platform. You decide, okay, I need this condor to end up doing the adjustment. Then you have to go over to your trading platform and reload strike for strike for strike, month, make sure you get everything right. And I can end up telling you, when I've done that before, I have made mistakes. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. That's why, from a professional point of view, most professionals really want to end up seeing their risk management platform and their execution platform put together, not be separate. Tom, I'm missing some questions. Margin requirements, I think I ended up answering. They're not determined by Obsidian. They're determined by your broker. Tom, if I missed any of the questions there. Guys, ask them again if we haven't answered your question, if you wouldn't mind, because there were lots of them. I think I grouped the ones together. I'm just going to go through and read these again, Jamie, real quick.
I think we got all of them.
Okay, and I kind of want to just expand on one point you made, Jim, with putting your positions into a separate platform for risk analysis and risk management. The same thing goes is that when you have a trading platform that's separate from your risk management, if you're not pulling that data live from your broker, you have to go back from your execution platform and then re-put in your risk management side of things as well. So, and you may make a mistake in that, and it's just extra work. with Obsidian, all your positions and everything flows back into the system, so that it's all right there in real time back from the broker, so that every morning and throughout the trading day, you know exactly where you stand at any given moment without having to manually transfer anything over.
Yeah.
And does the risk that you see on the chart, does that take into account closed trades as part of a bigger trade, you know, like an adjustment, for instance?
It depends on how the system is set up. So we have two different ways to set up the system. If you want to see your trading activity from inception, we do what's called rolling from day to day. We'll take your positions and we'll roll your portfolio without clearing that out every day, because in the professional trading world, what happens is that most people and most positions are delivered from the clearing firm on a mark-to-market basis. So we upload every morning the position values, and your cost basis changes from day to day based on the closing price on the previous day. That's mark-to-market marking of those positions. So that's the normal protocol that we do, but like I said, we can set it to roll from day to day, so you can see from inception closed trades, you know, your original cost basis, what you originally got in those positions for, and how your trade has progressed since that time. So, you know, we do have the ability to set that up. Most of the time, though, you know, and you'll have to make manual adjustments for any corporate actions like options assignments or trade breaks or something like that, because it's not automatically loaded, it just rolls. But that's kind of getting a little ahead of the game. But the short answer is yes.
So somebody ended up asking how to end up arranging a demo. I wrote down Jamie's name, his email address, and their main telephone number. Jamie, I assume that's okay that people contact you directly.
They can contact me directly. There's also, if you forget or lose that contact information, you can always go to silex.com, SILEXX.com. And there's a request a demo button on there, and just, you know, put in your name and email, and then we'll contact you same day.
Yeah, I put and you guys, if you ever misplace any of that or forget it, you can always end up contacting me. I'd be more than happy to end up, you know, giving you Jamie's contact information. Jeff Old, he's still there, isn't he?
No, Jeff's moved on to other things.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Anyway, I gave you that. There was also a comment about do you end up doing second and third level Greeks?
Second and third level meaning gammas and
No,
Vegas?
gamma would be a second. I guess the thing is that there's a whole thing, and I had never used these things. I guess Charm, Vanna, Vamo, Speed, etc.
No, we don't display any of those.
Yeah. Ray, I've never used those. I have talked about them. It's you know, because when you think about second, third level Greeks, what ends up happening in you know, when gamma gives you the second dollar of movement, right? Delta gives you the first dollar of movement, and then the second dollar of movement is delta plus your gamma for the second dollar. But what happens in the third and the fourth dollar? You know, those things keep moving.
Right.
And so that's where their risk management graphs are very, very good. You know, one of the biggest things that I've seen in markets, just a comment about having, you know, doing all of your risk management on something like OptionView. I know that personally that if you're managing more than just a single position or a couple of positions, what ends up happening is that you not only have to end up getting your trade in, but then you have to end up getting everything back into back into OptionView to see what your risk looks like. Where here, since your risk is being done real time, you're not entering anything. I can go directly to the risk graph, see what my risk graph looks like. It just makes it a lot quicker, a lot more accurate, and there's no possibility of you know, user error that I didn't enter the right strike, or I accidentally put in a minus when I should have put in a plus, or I mixed my quantities. None of that is possible in this because it's taking everything directly out of your account. And I think we've got them all. Tom, did I miss any?
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, yeah. As I said before, you know, feel free to look over some more of the system, review the website, contact me directly if you'd like to. I'd be happy to speak with you one-on-one and talk more about the system. This is, what I believe in wholeheartedly. I've been working on this for 5 years now, and I'm going to continue on and build this to the best of our abilities.
Yeah. And same thing here, guys. If you want to end up contacting me, I'd be more than happy to end up giving you, my experience with different firms using it. It really is, I know it is a paid professional platform, and you guys are asking questions about comparing it about platforms that are free that come along with brokers. This is really for the, I'd say, the larger type of traders. Yes, there are a lot of retail people that I end up knowing that use this, but they also end up trading reasonable size. You're commission-based when you end up going to some of these other brokerage firms. You can end up getting rather low commissions because they're not supplying you with a trading platform.
Right.
So it's not uncommon to be able to end up driving their commissions way down, especially if you're doing any type of, reasonable size. And for professional traders, one of the things that we end up seeing is that we can end up driving our commissions down so much that paying for our own platform, only adds, a nickel a contract or something like that by the time we're done on the month.
As you average it out. And I always like to say, Jim, sorry to interrupt you, is that because I used to work on quote-unquote free platforms, nothing is ever free. So you're going to pay... You're going to pay for that platform one way, shape, or form. Somebody pays for it. And it's usually, like Jim said, it's going to be wrapped into your commission cost so that you don't see that you're actually paying for that platform. And generally speaking, you're actually more times than not going to pay more for that platform than what you would actually pay going with a third party, as Jim, really
without question for size, right, Jamie? If you're just a covered call seller and you're doing, 20 contracts a month, it's going to be hard to end up paying for the platform. But if you're doing multiple types of iron condors and butterflies on different platforms and doing earnings plays and a half a dozen other things, it's definitely worthwhile taking a look at it and running the numbers and taking a look and seeing what would be the cheapest for you. But you also have to end up realizing the strengths of the platform, because one of the things that I would end up saying is that the platform is so efficient. The Greeks are so good. The risk management is extremely accurate that, one of the things that we took a look at it, we wouldn't even question the fact if it did cost us a little bit more, because we knew that between being able to choose our route vendors and the quickness that we can get our execution done, it was worth a couple $100 extra, even if it did cost us that. So,
well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, thanks again, Jamie. Really appreciate it. It was nice to see a professional tool.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate you giving me the time to present this to your group.
Great. And I wrote down I wrote down Jamie's contact information. And so, yes, anybody who wants to contact Jamie, just refer to him that, this is where you end up seeing him. Okay, it was through the capital discussions, and he'll end up remembering our group. If anybody wanted to end up contacting me, I'll end up writing down. You can get me at jim@capitaldiscussions.com, or I'll end up writing down my mobile that you guys can end up giving me a call. I'd be more than happy to end up giving you my experience with it also. And I just wrote down my mobile in the chat. Jamie, thank you so much for coming in for our group. A lot of our guys are pretty hardcore traders, and I think that the only limitation that they're going to end up having is they trade enough in terms of their size to be able to end up making it worth the platform, because there is no other platform that is as efficient and can end up getting trades executed with the quality of execution and the speed to which I can end up getting my orders off than Obsidian. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, Tom, Jim, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, and thanks for everybody for listening, and have a great night. Have a great weekend.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.